For your chicken sausage rigatoni, you're going to need your rigatoni, some green onions, Italian seasoning, a bell pepper. Don't worry if your bell pepper is a different color. Sometimes they send different colors. Tomato paste, the cream sauce base, some Parmesan cheese, and the sweet Italian chicken sausage mix. And then I have a 1/4 cup water here, a tablespoon of butter, and a teaspoon of sugar. And then you're gonna need some salt, some pepper, and a little bit of oil. All right, so I have washed and dried my produce, and I'm gonna start with my green onions, AKA scallions. I'm just gonna cut off those roots, and we're actually gonna separate the whites from the greens. So the whites, even though this is kind of a pale green, go really up to here. We're not just talking about this. We're talking about when it's still really thick, and you see how it's like all tight like this, and then the ends of the greens are completely hollow. So that's kind of the difference we're talking about between the whites and the greens. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just give these a quick little dice. And right about there, as they start to kind of loosen up some, I'm gonna go ahead, you can see that they're kind of starting to loosen up. Those are gonna be my whites. And so we're keeping those separate from our greens. And like I said, I realize that some of this is green, but you're kind of looking for, and actually this one, I'm gonna go a little bit farther. All right, and now we will count these as our greens. Now again, you don't have to cut them like this. You can cut them on a diagonal if you want to be fancy. Whatever you want to do. So these are going to be for our garnish at the end. So that's good. So there is our green onion. For our bell pepper, I actually flip it over and I cut it in half. And then I kind of pull it apart like so. And I'm just going to take out this inner seeds. And if there's any of the white rib, and I just always put this into my HelloFresh bag. I keep it next to me as a little trash bag. I also do have a pot of water, a large pot of water that I have salted that is coming to a boil. You always want to salt your pasta water because it's the only opportunity that you get to actually impart any flavor to the actual pasta itself. So it is salt. It should taste like the sea. So it should be fairly salty. And so I have some salted water coming to a boil for my pasta. So I'm just going to cut my bell pepper into strips. Like so. And then you just take all these strips, turn them on their side. And you're going to chop these up. And do that with the other half of your pepper. I've also gone ahead and put my greens into a little dish off of the side of the cutting board because like I said, this is going to be for our garnish. So I have a large saute pan that I'm gonna add a little drizzle of oil to. And I'm gonna just add my bell peppers to this. I'm gonna go ahead and just stir them up a little bit. And I'm just gonna cook these for a few minutes until they start to get nice and softened. So my bell pepper has been cooking for a few minutes. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add in the entire contents of my chicken sausage. So when Italian sausage is referred to as sweet, it just means that they have not added any crushed red pepper. It doesn't mean that it's actually like sweeter per se. It's just there's hot and then there's sweet. And hot has crushed red pepper in it. Sweet has no crushed red pepper. So if you want a little bit of spice, feel free to add some crushed red pepper or some other spicy seasoning of your choice. Sorry, I keep whacking the stand. And I'm just gonna scrape all this out. Make sure we get it all. And then we're also gonna add those scallion whites. And this is gonna cook for about 4 to 6 minutes. And as it cooks, you wanna kind of break up the chicken sausage. You want this to be like in small little bite-sized crumbles. And we're just gonna let this go, like I said, for about 4 to 6 minutes. And just keep kind of trying to break up that sausage. While my peppers and everything is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and add to my salted boiling water right over here. I'm gonna go ahead and add the entire contents of my rigatoni. And I'm gonna cook these for about 8 to 10 minutes, which means al dente, which translates to the tooth. So it just means a little bit of bite to it, but nice and soft still. So that's gonna go for about 10 to 12 minutes while this continues cooking and I keep breaking up my chicken sausage. So you see my sausage has become nice and brown and it's all in little bite-sized crumbles. Oops, and my spatula fell over. And so now I'm just gonna add some salt and pepper. And this is to taste. You always wanna be careful. You don't wanna add too much salt because you can't take it away, but you can always add more. Some salt and pepper. We're gonna add the entire contents of our Italian seasoning. We are gonna add our tomato paste, the entire thing. And then I have a teaspoon of sugar. And then I have a 1/4 cup of water. And then all of this is gonna get mixed together and brought to a simmer and then put on just some low heat. So we just wanna kind of mix it all together and let all those flavors start to meld while our pasta continues to cook. Now we're gonna go ahead and add in the entire contents of this cream base. And a tablespoon of butter. And we're gonna mix all that together. And you can season it with more salt and pepper if you so choose, but I am going to wait until everything is done and give it a taste and then adjust the salt and pepper as needed or any other seasonings that you choose. So we're just letting this all kind of melt together. And there is our sauce. My pasta is almost done cooking. So really important, you want to get some sort of container that is like heat proof and you want to pull out some of the cooking water. And the reason this is you're gonna use it to finish off your sauce because you see how this isn't like completely clear water anymore? There is, it looks kind of milky. That's because all the starches have leached out into that water and it's gonna help us finish our sauce and bind the pasta all together. So at this point, my pasta's done and I'm gonna go ahead and drain it. All right, so to my sauce, I'm adding my drained rigatoni. And I'm gonna go ahead and start to stir this together. And then you don't need it, so it says to reserve about a 1/2 cup of the pasta water. You don't need to add it all at once, just add a little bit. But it really does help finish cooking the pasta and kind of just bind it all together and make like for a creamier sauce. because of all the starches that are in the water. And then the last thing that you're going to do is at this point you can actually start to plate it, and it will start to thicken up some as it cools. If your sauce looks a little bit too thick, you can add some more pasta water. But the last thing you're going to do is either plate it now, or like I'm going to do, I am going to go ahead and top it with the Parmesan cheese now. So this is your opportunity to be creative with your plating. Topping it with the Parmesan and my green onion tops. And I'm gonna actually go ahead and just stir this all together so that the Parmesan starts melting into my sauce, and then plate it up. But this, like I said, it is your opportunity to be creative and to plate however your heart desires. Hope you enjoy.